Hey, what's up guys? My name is Blossoms and welcome to another Genshin Impact video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the talents and constellations of Qiqi, as well as giving you guys some ideas of how you may want to build her if you're lucky enough to grab this 5-star support. Now, I actually got lucky and got her from one of the random little battle pass things here. I got it on the standard banner just from one of the random battle pass wishes. I forgot to use one of them and then I just dropped it in and it was a 5-star and I wasn't even close to pity. So it was pure luck and I got Qiqi, and I'm so excited to show her off to all of you guys, as I think she's one of the most fantastic supports in the game and fills the need of the cryo element, which isn't all too common in the game right now. But wait, before we get into the video, did you know that most of the people that watch these videos aren't subscribed? If you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button below. I'd really appreciate it. So starting off, we have Qiqi's normal attack, Ancient Sword Art here. Nothing too crazy, although it does feel extremely fluid, and we'll go ahead and show that off in just a second. But here are the different percentages for those of you interested. And then moving on to how it looks when you use it. It's very fluid, you know, it looks pretty nice, and that's the normal attack combo. And then the charge attack is right there. And that flows really well in the combo as well, for those of you who like the flow, which is really nice considering the fact that her kit does like you to normal and charged attack with her, you know, every so often to get those heals. As for her second talent, we have Adeptus Art Herald of Frost. Using the Ice Vein Talisman, Qiqi brings forth the Herald of Frost, dealing cryo damage to surrounding opponents. On hit, Qiqi's normal and charge attack regenerate HP for your own party members and nearby teammates. Healing scales based on Qiqi's attack periodically regenerates your active character's HP, follows the character around, dealing cryo damage to opponents in their path. And then this is the different skill attributes here. So it does initial decent skill damage here, and then it has really solid regeneration that scales off of attack, which is really nice because you can just kit her out to do as much damage as possible with her attack stat, and you know, not even worry about her later on, as you're just going to be dealing plenty of healing and plenty of damage, which what more could you ask from a support? And then, you know, here is the actual damage of the Herald of Frost periodically as it goes on. It has a pretty solid duration, but an extremely long cooldown. So things like maybe Sacrificial Sword might be very good on her. I don't have it, so I haven't been able to test it on her and how that may or may not work. But, you know, do keep that in mind. As for how this particular talent looks like this. Does some pretty solid healing considering I have her at level 20 with literally 0 artifacts, and it's dealing like 200 heals here, and you see when it does wisp around like that, that is dealing cryo damage to any enemies nearby. Moving on to our third talent here, we have Adeptus Art Preserver of Fortune. Qiqi releases the Adeptus power sealed within her body, marking nearby enemies with a fortune preserving talisman that deals cryo damage. When enemies affected by this talisman take damage, the character that dealt this damage regenerates HP. And then for the skill attributes here, we can see that the skill damage is pretty darn solid, and then the healing here is also really solid and also scales off of attack, which is, you know, as I said, you can literally just dump as much attack as you possibly want in Qiqi, and that's going to scale up your healing and your damage, which is really nice. And then the duration here is just as long as the skill at 15 seconds, with a shorter cooldown of 20 seconds, which is very nice, but does have a relatively high energy cost at 80 energy costs, so you might want to consider using some energy regeneration on her. As for how her elemental burst works, we'll go ahead and show it off here. You get a little cutscene, and it provides these little talismans on everybody, and as you hit them, you will go ahead and regenerate HP regardless of what character you are on. As you might be able to tell, Qiqi's an incredible support and will be fantastic at applying that cryo status to everybody. So if you're running some pyro characters or something, she's going to be vital for some melt combs. Then as for Qiqi's fourth talent here, we have life prolonging methods. When a character under the effects of Adeptus Art Herald of Frost triggers an elemental reaction, their incoming healing bonus is increased by 20% for 8 seconds. So this is actually an incredible talent. This pretty much allows you to go ahead and ignore needing a healing bonus artifact on Qiqi, and that way you can focus more on attack percentage. Obviously, you can totally, still put a healing bonus artifact on her. However, this talent kind of allows you to circumvent the need, as she already does great healing, and this is just simply going to improve it based on the elemental reactions that your character is going to be doing, and the fact that she's cryo means that your team is going to be more easily available to creating these elemental reactions. So I think this talent is actually fantastic, increasing your healing just basically for free, and allows your characters just to stay alive that much easier. Moving on to the 5th talent here, we have a glimpse into Arcanum. When Qiqi hits enemies with her normal and charged attacks, she has a 50% chance to apply Fortune Preserving Talisman to them for 6 seconds. This effect can only occur once every 30 seconds. This is pretty darn strong. I don't think this is the craziest thing in the world, but it's definitely a nice quality of life to her healing, as it's going to apply that Fortune Talisman to them, allowing your other enemies or her just to heal themselves as much as they possibly want, just for free. So Qiqi's definitely going to be somebody that you're going to want to normal attack with, as you're going to want to get as much healing as possible. However, you don't necessarily need to either, as all of her abilities can heal your other party members without her being on the field. So it's just kind of a preference as to how you'd like to play her. Obviously, they are moving you in that direction of using her for her normal and charge attacks, which is something you want to keep in mind. Then for her 6th and final passive talent here, we have Former Life Memories. Displays the location of nearby resources unique to Liyue on the minimap. This is actually incredible for those of you who are churning out those Battle Pass weeklies, or just looking for different Liyue specialties for Ascension and whatnot. This is such a strong ability, and I'll go ahead and show it off real quick. So as you can see, something unique to Liyue is nearby on my mini-map. If you take a look in the top left corner there, there's a little hand symbol. And so that means I am like right on top of something that is unique to Liyue, which I imagine is on top of this cliff. And maybe not? Well, it says I'm on top of it. Oh, there's a cave underneath here, I forgot. So yeah, there's a cave underneath here. There's like a cryo abyss mage or something, and so I imagine whatever is unique to Liyue is below me right now. And that's obviously extremely valuable for those of you hunting different things. Moving on towards the constellations for Qiqi, I don't think she has anything too crazy in the constellation world that's gonna absolutely change her character in a crazy way. They definitely just kind of support her current kit. They don't change her drastically. Maybe somebody like Child's Constellations, and I know she's a 5-star, so pretty much nobody is going to be maxing out their constellations on Qiqi unless you're big whale energy, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm still going to go over the constellations here in case you do happen to get lucky in the future and maybe get the constellation 1 or 2. Anyway, moving on, for her first constellation here, we have Aesthetics of Frost. When the Herald of Frost hits an enemy marked by a Fortune Preserving Talisman, Qiqi regenerates 2 energy. This isn't the most fantastic constellation. It is really solid, don't get me wrong, but it does require you to have both of your abilities up at the same time, and for your first ability to hit somebody affected by your second ability just to regenerate that 2 energy, and it doesn't seem to have a cooldown, which is nice, so you are going to be regenerating a lot of energy if you execute this properly, but, it does seem like a little bit of setup just to get that energy back. And then for Constellation 2, Qiqi's normal and charge attack damage against enemies affected by cryo is increased by 15%. This is also pretty solid considering the fact that the first skill is constantly applying cryo. However, I would say this is a little lackluster in the sense that her one talent wants you to create elemental reactions, so the cryo isn't always going to be up on those characters, unless you obviously are just keeping Qiqi up. But the one talent does want you to create elemental reactions to get that healing bonus. So I don't exactly know, if this is the best constellation either. And then Constellation 3, you also have, just the level up a talent by 3, nothing too crazy. And then moving on to the 4th talent, we have targets marked by the Fortune Preserving Talisman have their attack decreased by 20%. This is actually a fantastic talent. It does debuff the enemy really well and just keeps your party protected that much more, but nothing too crazy. As I said, these constellations really aren't game changing. Moving on to that 5th constellation though, just another talent level up. These are always fantastic, but nothing too crazy there. And then finally, the final and 6th constellation is Rite of Resurrection. Using Adeptus Art, Preserver of Fortune revives all fallen party members nearby and regenerates 50% of their HP. This effect can only occur once every 15 minutes. So this is actually the most crazy constellation she has. It literally revives the entire party if Qiqi is the last one standing. And sure, it can only be used every 15 minutes, but you could probably understand why. This is definitely a get out of jail free card, and which is why it's definitely, you know, her C6 here. But as I said, none of these constellations are too insane. They're definitely nice, and they definitely assist her kit, but I don't think you really need any of them to make Qiqi a fantastic character, as you don't really need any constellations to make any character a fantastic character, but Qiqi in particular is not very affected too much by her constellations. And then before getting into the build suggestion portion of this video, this is the little bit of lore on Qiqi for those of you who would like to read. I'll go ahead and go to the first amount of character details here, and those of you can read that and pause if you would like. Moving on towards the artifact build portion of this video, and yeah, I haven't put on a single artifact on Qiqi, and she was healing for those like 700s and 200s, so you can kind of start to imagine how incredible she gets when you actually start kitting her out. And when you do kit her out, I would highly suggest you go with a couple of options here. You could easily go with the Maiden's Beloved set here. That is going to give you as much healing bonus as possible and make Qiqi a dynamo healer. However, I don't exactly know if that's your best option. The 4-piece set here is when you use an elemental skill or burst, healing received by all party members by 20% is increased, you know, which is nice and is definitely going to help your team. However, the long cooldowns and long durations of her abilities are something you might want to consider, and maybe not using the 4-piece here. The 2-piece, however, is of course extremely effective and definitely recommendable. But if you want my take on what maybe the best artifact set for Qiqi is going to be, I think hands down Gladiator's Destiny might be all you need. You just pop the 4-piece on there, and you just go attack percent, and maybe cryo bonus damage just for some free extra damage, and you'll be moving smoothly. Of course, for those of you who want to use Qiqi's auto attacks more often than no cryo bonus damage, you'll want to go physical bonus damage for sure, and then just have attack percent, and then be looking for as much attack percent as humanly possible on all of your artifacts. But I think the Gladiator's Destiny is probably just going to be the easiest set. It's just going to increase her attack percent and going to increase the amount of damage she does when you're normal attacking, which obviously her kit kind of wants you to do. But if you want to run a hybrid set of maybe 2 Gladiator, 2 Maiden's Beloved, that's also going to be extremely effective. And then maybe, you know, if a cryo set comes out in the future, you might want to consider that if you aren't using her for her auto attacks. However, I think maybe the Gladiator set is going to be your best option, and maybe if you don't have a good Gladiator set, you could also consider using something like the Exile set here. That energy recharge is definitely going to be valuable on Qiqi, as she does have a relatively high energy cost at 80. However, you could also just, you know, not really worry about using the Exile set and focus your energy recharge on her weapon, like something like the Sacrificial Sword I said would be fantastic on her, or maybe something like the Favonius Sword would also be good on her for that energy recharge, allowing you to get as much energy as possible to allow her to spam her elemental burst whenever you actually need the healing. Moving on to the weapon segment here, obviously this isn't my most recommended weapon here. I literally had a level 1 flute on her this whole time, and I might use this in the future. However, I think literally the best weapon for her is going to be the Favonius Sword, as it's going to increase that energy recharge, and it's going to give you more and more energy based off your crits, as crit rate and crit damage are some of the most valuable stats in the game. And when you hit them, they're going to be giving you energy, which is extremely valuable on a character whose elemental burst has high energy costs, especially for Qiqi. So I think maybe this is going to be your route to go, as her elemental skill isn't going to be providing a ton of energy all the time, especially since you might be moving to different characters to get the heals on them. So maybe something like the Vivonia sword, where when you hit crits it's going to give you energy, is going to be the move for you. Obviously, if you don't have it, things with attack percent like the flute are fantastic options, as you can simply replace one of her attack percent artifacts for an energy percent artifact, and that is going to, you know, just basically just swap around the roles. Obviously, you're not going to be getting as much energy recharge as something like a sword could give you, but you know, you are still going to be having that solid energy recharge and still having plenty of attack percent to increase her healing and damage. Even things like the Battle Pass sword here are fantastic options, as obviously it increases her damage and regenerates a little bit of HP for her. However, it is going to make your artifact hull a little bit heavier, as you are going to need to be able to fit energy recharge in your substats while keeping the attack percent main stat on your artifacts. Well, overall, I think Qiqi is a fantastic support, and I'm definitely going to be building her out, as the cryo application she provides while healing the team is extremely strong, and I really like the way she plays. So I enjoy her, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video, as I would deeply appreciate it. Definitely helps support the channel and helps us grow. But that's pretty much going to be it for me. My name's Blossoms, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.